4.2, which implies that we skipped 4.1, which we did, okay? Let me tell you what 4.1 is. 4.1 is called the long division, and it's like this process that's very difficult and it takes forever, okay? And then they teach you that, and then they teach you this thing, 4.2, called synthetic division, which pretty much does the same thing, but it's way easier. So then all the Algebra 2 teachers, all the other ones and I were like, hey, why don't we just skip the difficult one and why don't we just do it the easy way? So that's what we're doing, okay? All right, so here's the process for synthetic division. What we're gonna do is we're gonna build kind of a big line like this. And then I'm gonna build a little, I call it like a cupboard, like a little, I don't know, right angle up there, like half of a square, I guess. Okay, and then leave a little space right above the line, but then a little bit further above the line, we're gonna put all the coefficients of this piece right here. Coefficients are the numbers multiplying in front, okay? Now, if they don't have a coefficient, I think most of us know that that's like an invisible 1. So I'm going to put up here 1, 6, negative 33, and 27. Those are coming from the problem, the numbers multiplying in front of the variables, okay? So we got 1 from the first one because it's an invisible 1. Then we got a 6 right here, then a negative 33 from there, then a 27 right there, okay? All right. Now, in the little box up here, in what I call the cupboard, we're going to put the opposite of whatever is over here. So this one is going to be put there as a 3. So for n minus 3, I'm going to put it as a 3. We're going to see one later. If it was n plus 3, I would actually put it as a negative 3, okay? Okay, so that's how I set it up, and now we're going to actually kind of do this here. So here's the process, okay? And it's going to seem weird at first, but we'll get a lot of practice at it, and then you guys will get better and better, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is the first number, you just bring it straight down, does not change. No cambia el primer número, okay? The first number does not change. Then I'm going to move back up. Now, every time I move back up, I'm going to multiply by whatever is in the cupboard. So in this case, every time I do this, every time I move up, I'm going to multiply by 3. Why 3? That's the number in the cupboard. So 1 times 3 is obviously just 3. And now what we're going to do, and this is kind of a new step here, is we're going to add this down. So that's going to give me 9. Now I'm going to go back up. Remember, anytime I go back up, we're going to multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3 again. 9 times 3 is 27. And now we're going to add down. So negative 33 plus 27, negative 6. And now I'm going to go back up again, once again. Anytime I move up, I'm going to multiply by what's in the cupboard. So I'm going to multiply by 3. So negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. I'm going to add down, and that gives me 9. All right, so those numbers on the bottom row are kind of my answer. Not really, but kind of. I have to interpret them still, but like all the math is done. The numbers on the bottom row, 1, 9, negative 6, and 9. Those are our important numbers on this one, okay? Okay, now I have to interpret it, okay? I have to interpret my answer. And let me tell you how we interpret it. We have to look at the degree. The degree is the original power on the problem, right? So if I look at the original biggest power, and we did talk about this last semester, the degree for this one would be 3, because the biggest exponent is 3. Whenever we do synthetic division, that degree goes down by 1. It decreases by 1. So this one is going to be a degree of 2. So whenever we do this, the degree always drops by 1. What does that mean? Well, instead of being n to the third power, this is going to be 1n to the second power. Then the degrees are going to go down from there. So the next one instead is going to be 9n. It'll be n to the first power. After the first power is just the regular numbers. That's going to be minus 6. And then the last number is always your remainder. It's your remainder. But let me tell you how we're going to write the remainder. We're going to write the remainder as a fraction over whatever we were dividing by. So in this case, if we look back at the original problem, we were dividing by n minus 3. So I put the remainder over whatever it is we were dividing by, okay? Okay. So there we go. We don't really need the 1 in front of the n squared, correct? So that's kind of optional, but there we go. N squared plus 9n minus 6 plus 9 divided by n minus 3, okay? So we always put the remainder over the thing we were dividing by. Okay, that was a lot of information, right? So we got several more times here to practice, okay? So don't panic. Let's go over it again. I'll explain all my steps again. Over on the next one, all right? Actually, I'm going to drop down. I'm going to go ahead and do number 3 so I can erase number 1 before I do number 2. Okay, so let's do number 3 then. So number 3, I'll set up my little cupboard. I'll set up my line. All right, on my line here, I have 1 to start, and then 16, and then 51, negative 82, 73, and negative 75. In the cupboard here, I have negative 10. Why is it negative 10? Well, remember, it's always the opposite of the number that's inside there, okay? The thing you're dividing by, you have to switch the sign. So if it's v plus 10, we put negative 10 in the cupboard. All right. Bring down the first number. Don't change the first number. That's the only one that doesn't change. Remember that, okay? A lot of people mess that part up. So don't forget. Don't change the first number. Now, every time I go back up on this problem, I'm going to be multiplying by negative 10 because that's what's in the cupboard. So 1 times negative 10 is going to give me negative 10. Now I'm going to add down. 16 plus a negative 10 is a positive 6. Now I need to move back up. I'm going to multiply by what's in the cupboard. So we're going to multiply by negative 10. So that gives me negative 60. I'm going to add down 51 plus negative 60. The bigger number is actually negative, so that's going to give me a negative 9. If you're really stuck on any of these the adding or the multiplying, are you allowed to use a calculator? I would say yes. Most of these I think you should be able to do in your head. But if you ever want to check, I think that's fine. All right, now we're going to multiply by the cupboard going back up. So negative 9 times negative 10 is a positive 90. We're going to add down. So negative 82 plus 90 is a positive 8. We're going to multiply by the cupboard going back up. So that'll be negative 80, excuse me. We got 8 times negative 10 gave me negative 80 up there. We're going to add down. That's going to give me negative 7. 73 plus negative 80 is negative 7. And then one more time, multiply by the cupboard going up. Negative 7 times 10, negative 10 is positive 70. And then add down and we get negative 5. All right, last step is just to interpret our answers. So this one started off as degree 5, which means if I decrease that by 1, this one's going to be degree 4. So it always drops by 1 degree. So this one is going to be 1v to the 4th, or I'm just going to write v to the 4th, plus 6v to the 3rd, minus 9v squared. So you can see my exponents are just dropping by 1 every time. We get 8v. We get minus 7. So after the first power, the next one's just a number. And then remember the last one is our remainder, correct? And so for our remainder, we'd write it as a fraction over whatever we were dividing by. So in this case, we were dividing by v plus 10. So it's divided by the binomial, okay? All right. Any questions on that before we move on? Okay. One more thing I wanted to point out here, and actually you should probably write this on your notes, is there's actually another way that sometimes they write this. I'm not going to write the whole thing over again, but you'll see sometimes they'll write everything and then they'll write there like minus 7. Then they'll write it as minus 5 over v plus 10. So instead of putting plus a negative 5, sometimes they'll just make say minus, and then they'll just put the fraction with a positive 5 up there, okay? I hope you can see that the negative is there either way. So it's just two different ways to write it, okay? If you were writing it on your own, I would take either one, but most of these are going to be multiple choice, so you're going to have to pick the correct answer, okay? All right, you know what? In terms for space reasons and time reasons, let's go ahead and just skip number 2. There's not anything special about it, so let's just skip it. All right, let's do number 4 and stick with me here on number 4, because number 4 and number 5, there is something significant we need to talk about here, okay? All right, so let's take a look here at number 4. And here's the big deal on number 4, okay, and number 5, is missing powers. Anytime you have missing powers, I like to go above here and point them out. So in this case, you can see we have 0v squared here, correct? So if you have missing powers, you need to point that out. So when I draw my line here, my cupboard I know is going to be -6. Because of the v plus 6, I always put the opposite. My line here, I'm going to have 1, 6, 0, 9, and 61. So I have to put a 0 for any missing powers in the middle. So you always have to watch out for these. You have to scroll through them. And if you have any missing powers, just throw a 0 there. After that, the process is the same. So let's get another practice at it. Remember, the first number, you bring it down and don't change it. All right, so that's a 1. Then every time you move up, you're going to be multiplying by -6. Add down. Multiply by -6 going up. Well, 0 times anything is 0, right? Add down. Multiply by -6 going up. Again, 0 times anything is 0. Add down. Multiply by -6 going up and add down. Okay. So we know then here that since we started off with degree 4, this one should end up being a degree 3. So this one's going to be v to the third, v squared, v. That's my number, and that's the remainder. So let me show you how I'm going to write this one. I'm going to write this one as v to the third plus 9 minus 2 over v plus 6. Since I don't have a v squared or a regular v, I do not need to write them. Remember, 0 means nothing, right? So if you have nothing in those spots, leave them blank. But very important, the 9 doesn't move up to be 9v squared, right? Because of the spot that it was in, it's just 9. The v squared and the v are the ones that are 0. So then for number 5, same idea here. I got -2 in the cupboard. I got 1, 2, 0, 0, 1, 8. So in this case, I have 0x to the third, and I have 0x squared. I multiplied the 9 wrong? Oh no, I definitely did. Oops. Oh, have you guys been telling me this on the chat? Yeah, 54. Okay. Oh no, that's not good. All right, we'll fix that. Thank you guys for telling me. When I was making these videos at home, like I would always just check my answer, and if I messed it up, I could just go back and edit it so you guys would never know. But now it's like doing it live, it's all a lot of pressure, you know? Okay, so that's actually +7. So we'll change that to +7 over v plus 6. Okay. Thomas, does that look correct now? +7? All right. Thank you. Okay, so back to number 5. Really important on number 5, we see we were missing actually 2 powers here. So we had the 5th power, we had the 4th power. We're missing the 3rd and the 2nd power, so I put zeros for them, and then I have a 1 and an 8. Okay, so we gotta bring this first number down. multiply by the cupboard going up, add down, multiply by the cupboard going up, add down. This is not going to change for a while. Now when I multiply by the cupboard, it'll be -2. So I get a 6 there. Okay, we know this one. It started off as 5th degree. So now we're at the 4th degree, 3rd degree, 2nd degree, regular x, the number, and the remainder. So it looks like all I have is x to the 4th plus 1 plus 6 over x plus 2, which is what I was dividing by. Okay. Shoot. I only have 10 minutes left. Okay. Yeah, that'll be enough time for our puzzle piece here. We'll skip 6 and 7 as well. Let me just check. Or you know what? No, we'll do the puzzle piece tomorrow. How about that? Okay. So let's do 6 and 7 then, and we'll be done. I don't even think that'll take us 10 minutes, but that's okay. We'll finish a little bit early. All right, let's do this though. I'm gonna pause here for a second. Why don't you guys try starting number 6? See if you can do it on your own. I'll go ahead and hang back here. I'll start in a minute. All right, so I got my setup there. If you want to check yours, so really important that the cupboard, it should be a +5 this time. Since it's R -5, we should put a +5 up there. Looks like we're not missing any powers this time on number 6, so we should not have any zeros in that top row. All right, I got my numbers down there on the bottom row if you want to check yours. I got 1, -4, 10, -5, and 0. All right, so it means I would write my answer as, since we started off, I did X. It's technically supposed to be R, but not really super important, but I'll go ahead and make it R. All right, so we get R to the third minus 4R squared plus 10R minus 5. And you'll notice that I did not write plus 0 over R minus 5. Once again here, if you have zeros anywhere on that bottom row, that just means you don't have to write that piece. So I actually really like it when I get zeros, especially I like 0 for a remainder a lot. We'll actually talk about that more about that coming up. But so if you have a remainder of 0, you do not need to write it. Like we saw in the previous two questions, if you have zeros anywhere, you don't write those, okay? Okay, next up, number 7. Really quickly here, I just wanted to, I'll let you guys set this up, but be careful, because I think we do have a missing power here, correct? So you should have a 0 in your top row. So watch out for that. How do you know if one is missing? You kind of just have to look at the big polynomial first and just look at the powers. So you can see here on number 7, we got 4th power, 3rd power, and then we're missing the 2nd power. And then it goes down to, because this is 1st power, correct? So I always just, whenever I'm doing these, I look up here. You can see on number 6, we have 4th power, 3rd power, 2nd power, 1st power, and then no power. So that one we were not missing any. So just look through the exponents and make sure your numbers, whatever you start off at, it goes down by 1 from there every time. Does that make sense? Let's see. Okay, good. So yeah, I always just scan it before I build my top row there. All right, so what do we got on this one? Looks like we started off at the 4th power, so this is going to be degree 3. So we got 1x to the 3rd, nothing. So this would have been the x squared, that would have been the x. So that means that's just the number. And then we have no remainder either, so that's just x to the 3rd minus 9. Perfect. Beautiful. All right.